What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Jay and I am an American expat currently living here in Dominican Republic with my family. 4 years ago, we made a bold move to Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, and it has been the best decision of our lives so far. And we didn't do this because we were retired or that we were rich. We were able to do it because we designed a plan. One misconception about moving abroad is you have to be rich, and that's not true. But what is true is you definitely need a plan. So today I want to talk about the big mistakes that I see people make when they're moving to Dominican Republic, specifically thinking that a whole bunch of money will be enough for them. And I also want to talk about why a plan matters more than money and what that plan should look like. Based on my real life experiences living here with my family, navigating life, culture, money, and much, much more. You could have $10,000, $20,000, or even $50,000 saved up. But if you land in another country with no idea of how to manage that money, no income strategy, and no understanding of local culture, that money can disappear faster than you think. Remember the old saying, a fool and his money will soon part. And believe me, that is true. So here's what money can't protect you from. Overpaying in rent because you don't know the local prices. Getting stuck without income for 3 to 6 months. Health emergencies because you don't have any insurance. Or people thinking that you are one of those rich foreigners so they take advantage of you. We all know about that one. Bottom line, money does help, but it would not build your life here. What would build your life is having a plan. Living in the Dominican Republic can cost you less than the life you lived in the United States, but it all depends on where you live and how you live. For an example, in Santo Domingo, you can rent a decent apartment for as low as $500 a month to around $900 a month. However, if you live in small towns or either in a campo, that number can drop significantly, around $250 to $350 per month. Basic groceries like rice, beans, chicken, plantains, eggs, they're all super affordable. But if you start going to the grocery store and picking those imported goods, that's when the price goes up and things change. So yes, you can live here without a high income, but you have to understand how to build a sustainable life around what you can afford. So what kind of plan am I referring to? I'm gonna break down 5 key areas that should be your main focus when moving to Dominican Republic or anywhere abroad. Let's start off with the first one, which is the most important, and that's income strategy. You have to know how you're gonna earn money. Is it gonna be remote? Is it gonna be reliable? And is it gonna be location independent? If you decide to get a job in the country that you're moving to, which I don't recommend, you have to figure out if you can work in that country legally without a work visa. Here in Dominican Republic, you're not supposed to work unless you have a work visa. And I'm gonna tell you something now, the wages here are very low. So keep that in mind if you decide that you wanna work when coming to Dominican Republic. When we moved here, we already had income from remote work, like social media and freelancing. So that was a game changer for us because we didn't have to depend on our savings. We depended on our income plan. And to be honest, if you don't have income already lined up, you shouldn't be moving anywhere. So here's what I know that most expats do when they move here to Dominican Republic. Some have remote jobs where they do customer service, tech support, or even virtual assistants. And then you have some who just freelance, like graphic design, writing, consulting. Some have online businesses like e-commerce, coaching, or YouTube channels like this. And for the vast majority of the ones living here, most of them have pensions or Social Security that fund their lifestyle. So if you're already working remotely, that is gold. But don't come here to try to figure that part out because your lifestyle is gonna depend on that. The second key area is monthly budget. You have to know your numbers. I say this all the time. Do not move here without knowing your numbers. I'm gonna give you an example of a modest budget for a family of 3 in Santo Domingo. Let's start with rent. $800 for a 2-bedroom unfurnished apartment in a middle-class neighborhood here in Santo Domingo. Your electricity can run around $150 per month. Your cell phone bill can run about $90 per month, and that's for 3 phones. Groceries, $400 a month. And transportation, $150 a month. And we understand that this can fluctuate depending on where you're living, because if you're living in an area that's walkable to restaurants, supermarkets, malls, you won't spend as much money in transportation as you would if you did. Healthcare, about $200 a month. For a family of 3, healthcare can run you around $200 per month. And let's talk about miscellaneous. Let's just add $200 a month. And miscellaneous is not entertainment. It's just if stuff goes wrong, you may spend $200 a month. And of course, you may not spend that $200 a month. It just depends. But just let's lock it in. So right there, you're at $1,990 per month. Let's just say $2,000 off a modest budget for a family of 3. Me personally, I think it's doable. With my family, we do it for about $2,500 a month. But keep in mind, our rent is $1,300. So if our rent dropped back to $800 a month, we're saving $500 and we're at the $2,000 mark. But if you're single and you're living in a small town, your expenses could be much, much lower than $2,000 a month. But without a clear idea of what your monthly expenses are gonna be, your savings is nothing. You need to know how far your income will take you, so come with a financial plan. So keep in mind, emergencies and inflation is real here too. So let's move to the next one, housing plan. Are you gonna be here short term? Or are you gonna be here long term? That is a decision that you want to make before you move. We chose to rent first, and I recommend this to everyone, and here's why. It lets you get a feel of the neighborhood and you're able to test out different areas. It avoids you rushing into trying to buy a property when you don't understand the market here. And remember, you're still adapting, so you want to be flexible, and flexibility matters. So if you decide you don't like where you are, you can just get up and you can move without any consequence. So here's some popular expat areas. Santo Domingo, as everybody know, it's my favorite. It is the big city life with modern amenities. Then you have places like Las Terrenas, which is a beach town with a big French expat community. Then you have Santiago, which is the 2nd largest city, but a little bit slower paced than Santo Domingo. Then you have Punta Cana, which in my opinion is very Americanized. Most expats feel really, really comfortable in Punta Cana just because the layout of the city. And then you have Puerto Plata, Sosúa, and Cabarete, which are popular beach towns for expats. So yes, have a plan for short-term and long-term living. Know the areas that are safe, affordable, and suits the lifestyle that you're looking to live. So let's talk about the 4th area, legal status and residency. Many people believe you could come to Dominican Republic and stay on a tourist visa forever. Maybe you can, I guess, but I don't think that's the move that you want to make if you plan on being here long term. Tourist visas here are flexible. Technically, they give you 30 days. You can extend those 30 days by going to the embassy if you want, but if you overstay those 30 days, you have to pay an exit fee when you decide to leave the country. But if you're serious about long-term living here, you'll want to apply for a temporary or permanent residency. So in doing that, you will need a plan. How long are you staying? What paperwork is required? Whether you need a lawyer or a fixer to help you with the process. I recommend residencies for many reasons, but here's some of the main reasons I recommend residency. Local banking, meaning it's much easier to get a loan if you're a permanent resident rather than just a foreigner. There's a lot of red tape for foreigners in terms of getting loans from the bank here. Also, you'll be able to rent without having a Dominican cosigner. Right now, as a foreigner, if you try to rent here, they're gonna ask you for 6 months to a year up front. And who has that type of money to pay out up front? But as a residency, you wouldn't have to worry about that. And also you're able to put the utilities in your name. Also as a residency, you'll get better protection under the law. Yes, we know you'll always be a guest here in the country, but still you have better protection under the law. And the next one is, as I just mentioned, paying an overstay fee When your tourist visa expires, once you become a residency, you don't pay any exit fee. You can stay inside the country as long as you want without paying that exit fee. But also keep in mind, residency takes 6 to 12 months. Matter of fact, I believe it takes longer. I've been in my process for over a year now. Matter of fact, I think it's going on 2 years. So start early, be prepared for the paperwork, and hiring a local immigration attorney can be well worth it if you don't know anyone that can understand the paperwork for you. So the fifth one we're going to talk about is culture, language, and expectations. This is the biggest and overlooked piece when it comes to planning. The culture and the connection. Living here will not be the same as visiting. Depending on where you live, there can be power outages. Things move slower. There's a chance that you can get frustrated with the bureaucracy here. But the community, family-centered values, music, and lifestyle, for me, makes up for all of that. But still, you'll need to plan for how you will learn to speak Spanish, meet people, both locals and expats, and how to handle culture shock and frustration, because you will encounter this, especially here in Dominican Republic. And yes, learn some basic Spanish like cuánto cuesta, meaning how much does this cost? We all know gracias, thanks. We all know de nada means you're welcome. ¿Cómo está? How are you? So basic Spanish phrases like that help you in the process. And when you learn this is where you go from surviving to thriving here in Dominican Republic. So remember, a plan helps you adjust socially and emotionally, not just financially. So let's talk about my life or our life here in Dominican Republic. So what was life like for us when we came to Dominican Republic? To be honest with you, when we first moved here, of course, we were excited. At least I was. My wife is Dominican, so I don't know if she was more excited than I was, but I was excited. But we didn't have a full plan outside of our income. And it was a lot of things that we fully didn't understand. And again, even though she was Dominican, or she is Dominican, there's a lot of things that she didn't know because she didn't have to encounter these things when she was living here. We live in Santo Domingo, the capital city. It's busy, it's alive, it's always moving. Money can't fix confusion, and it cannot fix cultural frustration. So here's some of the things we had to adjust to. A slower pace of getting things done, cash-only businesses, and me learning to live without Amazon Prime. But also, in return, we got fresh fruits and vegetables, the beach about 30 to 40 minutes away from here, time with family without the hustle culture, and people who genuinely look out for each other here. That was the exchange for the life that I was living back in the United States. It wasn't always easy, but it felt intentional. We were no longer chasing a paycheck, we were actually living. And that's when everything in my mind started flowing. And now we've built a life here. And not because we're rich, because we're far from that. It's because we got smart, we asked questions, and we made a plan. So here's my advice to you guys who are moving to Dominican Republic for the first time or moving anywhere abroad for the first time. Number one, visit for 30 to 60 days first. 2, save up at least 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. 3, try to learn basic Spanish before you move, if the country is going to be Spanish speaking. 4, start your residency process sooner before you get here if you know this is the place you want to live. And 5, connect with expats and locals right away. When you get here, start building that connection. You don't want to move here and feel isolated, which a lot of people do. I get messages all the time where people ask me, where can I find where expats hang out at? I've been here months and I don't know where the expats hang out at. You don't want to feel like that. The community here is welcoming, but you have to put yourself out there. So my final thoughts, I believe you can do this, but here's what I want you to remember. Money is temporary, but your plan is sustainable. Yes, having a savings, absolutely, but also know how you'll make money, what your cost of living will be, meaning know the numbers, what documents you need, where you live, and how you're gonna connect with people. Those 5 key areas. Moving abroad is not just a financial decision, it's a lifestyle choice. You don't need to be rich, you don't have to have it all figured out, but you do need a vision, you do need a plan, and you need the courage to try something different. Living here in Dominican Republic has given me, my family, a new sense of freedom, a new sense of connection and peace. And this can be the fresh start that you guys are looking for too. So before I go, guys, I want to let you know that I created a new weekly newsletter called Live Your Best Life. So if you're interested in topics about living abroad, money, and personal development, I'm gonna leave a link down below for you guys to sign up. I'll be glad to welcome you to the community and provide you tons of information. And guess what? It's all free. So click that link in the video description below to sign up, and I'll see you over there. So guys, until the end, remember, always keep your goals at the forefront of your mind. Always live in the present, because that's the only way you're gonna live your best life. And I'm out. Peace.
Swung too far, I can't focus. You say who you are, and I've noticed. If I fall apart, could you hold this? You got me digging way too deep in the feelings, and I'm over here looking for all the reasons. So if you're gonna stick around, and if you plan to hold me down, be patient, 'cause I'm